Welcome to the Kickin' With Me podcast, and I'm your host, God's Little Soldier. And today we are recapping the journey of the music video, Do You Know Yourself by Mel The Prophet. So when I came to Mel about the idea of creating this music video for his music performance, I told him that I wanted to create something that meant to him, that represents who he is, and obviously something that represents his song Do You Know Yourself. And so when we sat down and we spoke about what he wanted to do, what makes him happy, what gives him peace, and he was like, listen, I basically I want to show my reality. And I said, perfect, let's do it. And so when he expressed what he really wanted to do, he wanted to be at Weehawken Park at the pier, and they have like a workout gym over there outside. So he really wanted to showcase what gives him peace, what gives him a clarity, and it's working out at that pier. And so what we did was, in order to get the right shot, we had to be there for sunset. So what does that mean? That means getting up at 3 a.m., making sure everything is prepared, ready to go to shoot, making sure everything is charged, right? Bags are packed, making sure we get every single angle, every single shot. And so before we actually, get to shooting there, the second part is that he wants to capture his journey climbing, going up the stairway to heaven in Vernon, New Jersey. So what does that day look like, right? So waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're meeting us. When I say they, Mel The Prophet and Ultimate Prime Prodigy, the director, is meeting me at my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. We leave around that time. So at that time, we're packing up the car with all the equipment, all the props that we need, making sure that there are no delays whatsoever, making sure we have backup batteries, you name it, backup cameras, you name it, tripods, you name it. And so after we go to Weehawken and film Mel, going through his workout, which was super intense, and you will see how intense this workout is. And mind you, this is at 5 o'clock in the morning. So as we're going through his workout, we're doing performance scenes as the sunrise is coming up, and obviously you see the New York skyline, which is pretty dope. So right after that, this is what I'm thinking, right? When he's telling me listen, Marcus, we got to get up and we got to catch the sunrise, right? I'm all for it. I am it sounds great. Everything sounds amazing. The plan sounds great. Prime and Mel come to the house the night before, or 2 days before actually, and we're really mapping out how we're gonna maximize our time and really capture what we need to capture, right? And so the night before, that's when it hits me. I'm wait, what? I gotta get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Wait a minute. All right, cool. And so here I am, not really thinking about what that day really looks like, because I'm just so excited that I'm going to capture this content with Mel The Prophet. I'm going on his journey with him and just getting to know him, right? And so here I am packing everything, and I'm oh my God, I don't think I was mentally prepared for this. And so I couldn't get any sleep the night before. Mel was listen, I gotta go to bed by between 7 and 9. That didn't happen. And here I am oh, he's being disciplined, maybe I should go to bed, 1 o'clock comes, I gotta be up in 2 hours, so I couldn't sleep either. So 3 o'clock comes, I'm ready. They're at my house by 4:15, and everyone is like trying to like open up their eyes. Still got like mucus in your eyelids, right? And it's dark outside, and you'll get to really understand Melvin. You get to see some, different parts of Melvin that you may not seen before, you may not ever known before. Life is all about perspective, and his perspective is a lot different than most. But I appreciate his perspective. The reason why is because his perspective, I understand it. I can see it and I can relate. And so I really encourage you guys to really tune in to episode 1, and you'll get to see his story unfold, his journey unfold, and you'll really get to, in an intimate way, understand Mel the Prophet and why he's so committed to his craft, his artistry, his development. Sitting down with him throughout this project has given me a different perspective too, and understanding like how his environment, everyone's a product of their own environment, right? And so understanding his environment and what shaped him as Mel, and what trials and tribulations he had to go through to understand, to be where he's at today, and so that's an eye-opener for me as well, by going on this journey with Mel. I've learned a lot about him. I've also learned a lot about me, and I've also learned a lot about what has shaped him, what he had to go through, and what he is going through to get to where he wants to be. And that's why I sat down and I chose Mel the Prophet for episode 1, for commitment, because since the day he said music is what I want to do, he hasn't let go, of the pedal. And he's like just so committed. It's inspiring. It really is. And it makes me go harder, right, at the things that I'm passionate about, right? Like this podcast, I'm super passionate about. It's a platform to highlight, anyone who has a story, and everyone has a story, right? So let's highlight the story, and through your exclusive stories, we can inspire so many people. There's so many takeaways from people just like you and I. And but to get back to part 2, after the performance shots were super dope. Like this music video, I just hope that you guys enjoy it, because there's no other like it. And I tip my hat to the team, Faith by Me Production, in capturing Mel the Prophet's journey in making this music video, Know Yourself. But when we get to Mount Vernon, right now it's, I want to say 9-10 o'clock in the morning, and we're preparing for this hike, right? That's what Mel wanted to do. He wanted to go hiking, and in my mind again, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go hiking, but not understanding how difficult or hard or how long this hike is, right? Because all in my mind, I was just like, oh, we're gonna get the shot, we're gonna get his journey, like, yeah, like I'm gonna get to know him, but not understanding like I wasn't physically prepared for this hike. And so I'm as prepared as I am, and we go on this hike, and it's nothing but rocks. I don't have the right gear on, meaning I don't have the right shoes. I don't even look like a hiker. But even though it was about 40 minutes to an hour up to the top. Um, that journey and the struggle and the pain I went through was rewarding. And I think that the message that I'm trying to convey with the brand Faith by Me, and having faith and understanding that the stairway to heaven is not going to be comfortable. There's going to be pain. And that is your journey, right? So embrace it, because we don't have the same amount of time to get there. But in understanding that if you could persevere, sacrifice, commit yourself, stay disciplined, and be persistent, you'll be unstoppable and you'll make it to the top 100%. So I just want to sit here and just wrap up that after going through that journey with Mel and capturing, what is meaningful to him and what represents who he is, I just remember on our way down, and throughout the journey, we met so many different people, and I don't know, to me, it just felt like all the pieces were just meant to happen, right? As they happen, right? Nothing was forced. The journey, as I reflect, was amazing. It was one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I say that because hiking is not something in my everyday life, right? So here I am going on a journey with Mel The Prophet in his reality, right? And I'm getting to understand and see what he goes through, right? To get his clarity so he can move on, or whatever it is that he's looking to accomplish. And so when I sit back and reflect, it's an experience I could hold on forever. No one could ever take that away. And I just want to say to Mel The Prophet that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your commitment to your work ethic. I'm proud of you I'm proud of the transformation from, and I'll be real with you, and you know this too, Mel. Old Mel, and we talked about this, is not the Mel today. The old Mel was, if I had to really say, like, oh, what do you know about Melvin, like, growing up? He was a ladies' man. He loved the ladies. He was the life of the party. He was center of attention. His perspective was totally different. It was just all about fleshly needs. And as I'm going on this journey with him right now, in 2025, the Melvin who I've known before and Melvin now, it's night and day. I mean, this guy is fasting, no food for a whole week for a purpose. He's celibate for a purpose. Everything he's doing is for a purpose, and he understands the importance of life, of this life, of his life. Obviously he's had some demons that he had to face, right? And some lows that he had to go through, right? And that's the pain. That's the pain. That's the transformation. Because he didn't quit. He didn't stop. He didn't sit there and feel sorry for himself. He took this, and in his own way, he asked God for clarity. He asked God to help him. He asked God to give him what he needed to continue to move forward. And sometimes that looks different for everybody. For him, he went through a really dark place. And, he, told God how he really felt. And I honestly believe that God gave him a vision of the gifts that he's given him to then persevere through the struggles that he's been going through. And if you look at Mel now, I'm gonna be honest, like, you seem the happiest you've ever been. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you may not be where you want to be right now, maybe in your career, but your energy and your aura, your energy seems very peaceful, and what you're doing right now is working for you, and I love that for you, 100%. And I encourage others to find their peace, and in finding your peace, you have to create a reality. Create your own reality. This is your story. This is your Bible. You know, and he doesn't care what other people think. You know, and I think that's the biggest part, is that when I understand or get to know who Mel is, he created this reality that gives him peace in mind. And whatever that looks like for him, doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that for me, and it doesn't look like for the next person. So you almost have to create it. You can't, if you're gonna wait for someone to create your own reality, you'll be waiting for a long time, and or you'll never get the reality that you've always dreamt or wanted. I honestly believe that when you want something, it's on you to create it, create the opportunity, and that's what Mel did. He's created an opportunity for himself. He's created his world, and at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares? No, who cares about the judgment? At the end of the day, if people are judging, it's because they want to be like you. They wish they had the courage to do X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be. And so, Mel, I'm gonna close out and say this: is that the journey that you brought me on and allowed me to be in your presence, I want to say thank you, because it takes courage and boldness to allow other people to enter into your reality, to get and to be vulnerable, to get a piece of you. And I think that more men like you and I and everybody else who decided to be a participant of this podcast, it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and tell your story. And so I tip my hat to you. And all I want to say is that, you know, continue to work on your work ethic, never give up. And I know you know that God loves you, and He will give you and make sure all your dreams come true, as long as you stay on task, stay the course. Time just has to catch up. All right? So, I appreciate it. I thank you. And I wish you the best. God, Lil Soldier out.